So I have a very exciting show today because I have two very special guests here. I have Ben Hooper and I have Tyler Gray from the rock and roll band Sunset Strip. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Good,
I'm
man.
so happy to have you guys because I think you're one of the hottest bands right now. I mean, it seems like social media is blowing up for you guys. Your attendance is picking up at every show I see you at. And I hear nothing but great reviews from people, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank
It means
you.
a lot.
Yeah. So welcome.
Thanks.
So this podcast is designed for local musicians, right? For guys to come on and, everybody sees you guys on stage, right? And they hear you and they read your posts, but they don't really know much about you as far as like where you're from, like what got you into music, what were your favorite bands growing up. So today I like to cover all that stuff.
Sure.
We're going to take our listeners on a journey about what makes you guys the rock stars that you are.
Let's go.
So the first question I have, and I'll ask this to Tyler. So Sunset Strip is a fantastic name. I remember the Sunset Strip. I lived in LA right towards the end of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember walking up and down the Sunset Strip and seeing musicians selling tickets because they couldn't play unless they sold the tickets in advance.
Right.
Which I thought was a horrible thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can understand the business, but so Tyler, why the name Sunset Strip?
That was one of those names that I kind of just tossed out there. So the band goes back to like 2019. Johnny and I kind of initially started it. Ben, Johnny's the drummer.
Johnny
Tarja. I've known this
Yep.
dude for like 5 years.
Who by the way, Johnny Tarja is in like fucking 4 bands or some shit.
Yeah, he is now.
At least, yeah. Maybe 5 by tomorrow.
But Sunset Strip started right before the whole pandemic thing. So we didn't even pop out on the scene until a couple years later. But we just kind of threw a couple names out there, and then Sunset Strip happened to be the one that stuck, and then it wasn't long after that we realized that there's like 20 different Sunset Strips across the nation that does the exact same shit that we do. Yeah. But we just ran with it, It's like once it's there, there's no.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's a Sunset Strip in the Tampa Bay area.
No.
I mean, there's other jacked ups.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jacked ups in the country world.
Yeah,
but there's only one around here.
When you're performing, and you go to drop all your social media and stuff, you say, find us on Facebook, Sunset Strip, you're like the fucking.
Is it so? How'd you handle that? Is it Sunset Strip?
We have it Sunset Strip and FL. Yeah. Florida.
Perfect.
That's how we.
So that's how you get around that.
Yeah.
But is it called Sunset Strip because you're taking the people back to a wonderful time where the music was rocking and pure, and it was
because we cover a lot of those bands that came from that scene, you know what I mean? And more stuff on top of that. But that was a really good a good name that kind of generalized the entire genre that we play, because it's all 80s glam metal, hair metal stuff. So it's like how that was just the best name that was able to just kind of like, you could just slap a label on it. That's
totally
the best
agree.
label.
Yeah.
Everybody
First of all,
gets it.
you guys are excellent at what you do.
Thank you.
And you have the voice that can sing that stuff, because it's not easy to sing that stuff, man.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy to sing
very,
the backups.
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
Yes.
So is it safe to say that you guys are the vocal section of the band as far as lead and backups?
A lot of the guys sing backups, but I think Tyler and I, we're
Sam's pretty good on. He's pretty on it too.
So take me through the band. So who's the current lineup?
Go ahead.
So we have Sam Bean on guitar. He's I want to say lead guitar, but they split the leads. It's pretty 50-50. So we got Sam on one guitar, and then we have Charles Zammit on the second guitar.
Charles is my boy.
Charles is a great dude.
Yeah.
He's a great dude. Ben Hooper on bass, obviously, and then we got John Targe on the drums, and then me on vocals.
Okay. So the 5 of you, and you guys have been together now for how many years?
This lineup is actually relatively new, but Sunset Strip, like I said, goes all the way back to 2019. We've kind of had a revolving door of members, but this lineup is really only a couple months old. Is
it safe to say this is the best lineup?
This is by far the best lineup. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what it is? When you guys are having so much fun on stage, like I'm watching you guys smile. Yeah. You guys are like, it's cool, and it's a party. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And here's also what I want to say about your music is that there is a hunger for heavy metal, hair metal, 80s rock. I really believe that. And I think one of the reasons why you guys are successful, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? But I think you're filling a void, man. People want to hear what you're playing, especially in Charlotte County.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it's, I call it Camaro rock. Because back in the day, you had your Camaro and you had your Pioneer 6x9s up in the back deck, and you went out on Friday night, and slipped that Motley Crue tape in the cassette deck,
what I'm talking
crank
about.
that thing
Little
all
Jack
the way up.
Daniels.
You know it, man. You know it, and we're trying to take everybody back to those good time Friday nights, back before life was so much, and just relive the good times, man. Just have a good time, just like the song that we do, nothing but a good time.
Well, it's
You
funny
know?
because my friends Sal and Denise, who always sit up front at the
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep,
at the Twisted Fork,
great people.
they can't say enough wonderful things about you guys. Now, here's the thing: you guys do every song really, really well. It's almost like I'm not going to say you do it note for note. I think you do it better than that because I think yes, you play them true,
Hmm.
but at the same time you put you put your spin into it, man. You know what I'm saying?
We try to keep it as organic as possible, and all of that, the stage presence and the interactions between all of us on stage, it's a very
It's
natural
very
thing.
Yeah,
natural. There's
yeah.
no
It
doubt.
is. There's no like weird like acting or any, we don't have scripted things that we say in between songs. It's all just a very
You guys ever
natural
just start
thing.
playing a song without even rehearsing it and just do it live?
Yeah.
We have done that a
Yeah.
couple times.
Sometimes it works out great, sometimes not so great, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Well, we got a video on Facebook that went viral
I saw.
by
Dude,
just
out of control.
screwing around like that, man. So yeah, yeah. That's one thing I love most about this lineup, that we can do that. You know, we
So Ben, how many bands have you been in so far? I mean, I know you were in a previous band
yeah.
where I first met you.
Uh, Going back to garage days, I mean, there was the garage, but as far as like real working bands, there's probably good 3 or 4 good working bands that I've been in.
So
Um,
is this a culmination of all those years and all those bands? This is like your genesis or your
yeah, you could say. I took a good 12 to 15 years off of playing. Uh, got married, started a business, had kids. So I was busy doing that, and then once the kids got to middle school age and they didn't need my time so much, I got back into playing.
you had the free time to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So I got back into
Now we're gonna
playing.
get into gear later because I'm a bass guy also and I dig what you play. We'll
Hmm.
talk more about that. But I also want to talk about how did you guys meet? So for an example, they were already an existing band.
Yeah.
How did you come to Sunset Strip?
Uh, I knew of them. Uh, I saw a couple of their shows and fell in love with the band. Um, this band that we have now was the band I was always trying to put together.
I remember you telling me this,
Yeah.
man, when I first met
Yeah.
you. This is like that's what I'm saying. I think this is your dream band. Right?
It is absolutely, absolutely. This is the band that I've always had in mind. Uh, was what we have going
I
here.
think you
right
even
now.
popped out and you jammed with us one night, and then but there was like some scheduling conflicts because you already had
Yeah.
your own thing going on,
Right.
and we
Yeah,
had our stuff going on.
yeah. I was still with Dan and Nobody's Fool. And I forgot somebody told me you guys needed a bass player, and I came and jammed with them a couple times, and everything was was great. Everybody worked together well,
Yeah.
but it was just a scheduling conflict, playing with the
So
other
Tyler,
band.
what was your thoughts when he first came in the room and he was
Oh, I thought he was great. And actually, this is really funny. I don't even know if you remember this, but the first time I actually ever had an interaction with Ben, I was selling a guitar on Facebook Marketplace. It was a guitar that I made. It was like a the band Wasp.
sure?
So it was like a Wasp themed guitar. And he actually messaged me on Facebook Marketplace, and he's like, I fucking love Wasp. He's like, I'm not, he's like, I don't really play a whole lot. This might have been before you were even in Nobody's Fool. And you were
Could
like,
have
I don't
been.
play a whole lot. We should get together and jam sometime. And we chit chatted a little bit. And then after that, we didn't ever talk.
Right.
And then fucking 6 months later or whatever, he pops up in our rehearsal spot.
How
And
great is
I
that?
mean, yeah, dude, it was great. And we had some rough luck with bass players before that. A couple of the other guys that came in and tried out for us were just was never really able to connect with them or anything like that. But like Ben and I could shoot the shit all day.
Well,
And that's the best part of being in a band is you have to be able to shoot the shit with whoever you're playing with, because at that point it's less of like, I don't want to say like, I mean, everybody that you're in a band with is essentially your coworker, but sometimes when it's only that, it's only business. It's just not.
I
That's
agree
not my.
100%.
That's not my ideal band.
Right.
I want
Yeah.
everybody in my band to be like my brothers.
Yes.
So the bottom line is that you guys are friends.
Yeah.
You guys will hang out outside of the band.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
generally care and love
Mhm.
each other.
Absolutely.
And before you even get together and start jamming out.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that shows in your stage presence. Like I said earlier, you guys are smiling.
Hmm.
And I think it just makes for a much better group, like a rock and roll group that actually cares. It's the product is everything, right?
Yeah.
And when 5 people are on the same wavelength, man,
you can make magic happen, man.
so people that are listening to this that have never seen or heard you guys,
Yep.
what can they expect when they come to see a Sunset Strip show?
It's pretty much just like watching the Headbangers Ball. That's kind of, at least that's how I like to envision it. You
Yeah.
know, you
So
kind of,
Headbangers Ball, let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
name some of the bands that you cover.
we do Skid Row, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Dokken.
Yeah.
It gets more obscure than that. Those are the big ones, but we try to do some other stuff that
Right.
maybe not everybody
Def
else.
Leppard?
Actually, that's like the one band that we have like the least amount of material in. We
Def
do
Leppard,
the big stripper song, Pour Some Sugar on
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, the
Other
Pour
than
Sugar,
that,
yeah.
we don't
Girls
really
like
touch
getting
a
up and
whole lot of
dancing
Def
for that.
Leppard.
What's the one song on the set list when you guys? I'm assuming you do 2 big sets or 3 1-hour sets.
It depends on what the time is. The last show we did was 3 hours, so we did 2 sets. But if
Like
we're
2
covering,
75-minute.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we cover, a 4-hour night, we'll do 3 1-hour sets.
Yeah, that's what we do. We mix
Yeah.
it up. Because like the Gator Club, you got to play 3 sets, but one of them has to be a little bit longer
Yeah,
because they make you play
Yeah.
late there.
yeah.
But like Twisted Fork, if you're doing a 3-hour show, you just do your, 75 and 30, then 75. Now, when you guys are on stage, are you using inner ears?
No. Using, I tell everybody I'm a dinosaur, man. I've got to have my monitor right in front of me. I want nothing but my vocal in it. Tyler's next to me. I can hear his vocal through his monitor. The guitars have, they're on stage. They've got their own sound. I want just me and my vocal in my monitor.
It's so funny because here's the deal. The type of music that you guys play, and you play it well, that your whole genre, none of those guys want to use inner ears, man. You want to feel your amp. You want to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah.
I
No,
did
yeah.
I did get to use in-ears one time and I fucking hated it. It was,
Yeah.
I love the monitor, and
Yeah.
like he says, I don't want anybody else. I can hear everybody else just fine from
Right.
around me. I only want me and my monitor. But like when you have that in-ear in as a singer and you hear your own isolated vocals, like I swear that just like that fucks with you.
It
Only
does.
problem you're
So
gonna run
it's like,
into.
wow, like I
Yeah.
sound like shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like you don't hear any of the reverb. At least like you can kind of peek your head out past the mains and you can tell that it's like, okay, it sounds good. But when you've got that in ear, you are only hearing your raw, unfiltered, like
hear you, brother.
isolated vocal track. It's
I have a
rough.
problem with them. I use them. Sometimes I can't stand them. Sometimes I love them. But here's the deal. When you guys are outdoors, you're very well mixed and you're very well spread apart. But you guys can get loud. And when you're indoors and those guitars now, those amps are going to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
that's when it's like, holy shit, maybe it's
Yeah.
time we got to do
Yeah.
something because, it can get loud.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We did a show, I don't know, 6 months or so ago, and we were having problems with the monitor system, and the sound man broke out some in-ears, and it was my first experience using them. And like I said, I've always fought the in-ears. But I tell you what, man, after he got that sound dialed in, I was kind of digging it. Like Tyler said, it's weird hearing yourself in your head, because you sound different.
You have to get used to it.
Yes,
It could
yeah,
take a
it
very
would-
long
it would-
time.
I could
Because
see
the
where
cool
it
thing
would
is you
be.
have your tablet down below and you can figure out what you want to hear.
Mhm.
So in my case, I don't need to hear the drums because I'm right next to the
Right,
drums.
right.
But I got to hear the guitar for the cue and I got to hear my lead singer.
Mhm.
And then I got to hear myself because you can harmonize better. When you
Yes.
got those things on, man, you can harmonize because you know exactly
Ex-
where you need to be. man,
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
But you guys have top of the line gear. I mean, you guys all have high end stuff up there. Like, walk me through your rig.
Right now I'm running a Mark bass half stack. I love the Mark bass. I played Ampeg and GK and all that stuff for years, but it just gets to be too much lugging that big heavy stuff around. The Mark bass has a great tone to it.
It's light.
It's lightweight.
I have the Mark bass as
you know,
well.
right? I use a Hartke preamp to get a little bit more tone than the standard Mark bass, but that's pretty
I
much
think you have
it.
fantastic tone. I love your playing.
Thank you.
And the
Thank
great
you.
thing about Twisted Fork is the guys that work, the engineer guys that work
They're
there.
awesome there.
Yeah,
They're so
I mean,
good.
your bass is booming. Like I like to go far back to see what it sounds like way back there, and it
Yeah.
sounds great. And the vocals cuts above everything,
Mhm.
Oh,
and they
dude.
project.
Every time we play Twisted Park, I'm like, man, I wish every gig sounded like
Yes.
this.
Do you
Yes.
guys try to record through the board there? Because I mean, sometimes a cell phone doesn't do us justice. So
Right.
I've tried to record through the board there. The only problem is that when I get the raw files back, I don't have the technology or the software to decipher them. So it's just I can't
Oh.
make it work yet. It's a
Mm.
it's a progress. It's like a process where I have to like learn how to do it. But then we took one of those you know those Zoom cameras that record music.
Yeah.
We tried one of those. We put it right in front of the board, and it worked really, really well. Except when people walked by and they stopped and they started talking
Did
Mhm.
it? Oh, yeah.
because they don't know it's there,
Yeah.
and it picks up
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sal, who you mentioned earlier, he does he records, when he's there, and he's
He does a good job.
I don't know what he's using, but I mean he does a great job. It's clear. The sound is very clear, it's not muddy.
You know
Um,
why? Because the Twisted Fork has the mindset to put speakers. They put little speakers there right in the front. So so most venues don't do that.
right.
You know, it's just like at the big house,
Hmm.
and then the monitors for you guys.
Yeah.
But they put speakers there so people in the front can hear it.
Right. They
Yeah.
get that front of house sound.
So what do you guys got planned for 2025? I mean, I got a feeling that we're going to have a banner year down here as far as tourism. And let's face it, we play venues, right? That's designed for the snowbirds, the tourists. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, there's going to be locals there too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I think that this population swells, man. And I know why I know this. A, our tips go up during season, right?
Oh yeah.
And B, usually like they have to move tables because we're more of a dance band. So we play dance music so that we create a big dance floor. So the summer was tough. It was hot as hell.
Yes, it was.
my
But we're slowly seeing it pick up.
Yeah.
What do you guys thought about that?
Well, playing in the heat for starters is not for the weak. I mean, it is rough, especially those outdoor gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually the last gig that we played at Big Top. I had these leather pants on, had them on for one set, and I had to go change.
Yeah,
I was like, it was like all the sweat like went down my legs
Sure.
and like into my shoes, and like my socks are all wet. Like that's how bad it was. And then there's other times. There was another time I was wearing like black jeans. We played this place called Cage Brewing in St. Pete, and I had like these. They were like a light black, We start playing 4 songs in. I'm already drenched. I got swamp ass like nobody's business. I'm like, man, I cannot fucking get this shit right. So I'm super excited to at least break into like the fall and the winter,
Right.
where everything cools down a
Then
little
you can start
bit.
wearing all your cool rock clothes.
Yeah, I can wear some layers and stuff,
Yeah.
because by the time out in the summer, man, by the time I get done towards the 3rd set, I mean, I'm half naked.
Yeah.
I can't
Our
do
last
it.
2 shows were in the air conditioning, so you were like, it was
Jealous.
Oh man,
Jealous. I think it was 15, 20 minutes in the last gig, you were damn near half naked.
Yeah, I don't play around. I'm like,
No.
if it's hot, I'm taking it off. I don't care.
I look over at him. I swear we were 4th or 5th song in, and both of us were like, we just got stepped out
Well,
of the
look,
shower.
the women like that. And you guys are known for having pretty women at your shows, man. I wish Jacked Up had pretty women at our shows. But fortunately, we have teenage boys.
Hmm.
I got a lot of those in my other band, actually.
No, we definitely appreciate our fans and friends that come out and support us.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing that we got some pretty ladies out there. That's for sure.
Now you got the wives helping out with the social media and the t-shirt sales.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that your social media has grown,
Hmm.
right? And you're selling t-shirts at every show,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yep. We're just trying to do everything we can to take that next step, to keep moving forward as a band. Yeah, like I said, whatever it takes to continue this thing moving forward on the track that we're on.
So how can people that are listening to this know more about your future gigs? Where do they go? What's the contact information?
Facebook page is the best way to do it. Everything is on the Facebook page.
What is the page?
It's Sunset Strip Band FL.
Okay, so go to Facebook, type in Sunset Band,
Sunset Strip
Sunset Strip
Band
FL.
Yep.
And your page comes up, and
Yep.
you're using that as your website as well. It's the Facebook.
Yeah, the Facebook.
So all your
yeah.
dates are on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
you guys ever
It's-
use Go Tonight?
We there's several sites that we, when we play, the social media team posts all over the different sites. I don't know if we do Go Tonight off the top of my head.
I like to put all my dates out for as far out as I can.
Yeah.
And then as it gets closer to each one, do an invite and then do some signs.
Yeah.
But I don't like it when bands that are really in demand only post like 2 or 3 days before their show.
No.
Like there's a band that I follow up in Tampa, and it's like, I don't know if they're going to be playing the week. I'm like, how do I know if they're going to play? I'm off that night. I want to see them.
Yeah. We as soon as we not as soon as we book, but we'd like to get as much advance notice out there as we can. Uh, 4, 5, 6 weeks ahead of time. We'll create a page, an ad, and start and get some response, and then respond to people that respond to that, and just keep the chatter going.
Well, my next topic here is you got a really big show coming up, man. You guys are going to be opening up for Molly Hatchet, which is one of the most popular Southern rock and roll bands. Now they're a different kind of Southern rock.
Yeah,
they're not like the Skinner and the Almonds.
Yeah,
they're more kick-ass.
Yeah, they're a rock.
You remember their first two albums?
Yes,
I was a huge Hatchet fan when their first two albums came out, man. Out of control. I mean, I still listen to that stuff when I'm in the gym. So how do you feel about that?
Dude, that's a blessing. We're super excited for that.
Very stoked for that.
I mean, is that the St. Pete Bike Fest? Is that what that is?
Yes. Yep.
And are you guys like, is that the main stage? Like, what is like the Saturday night, or is it one of the big nights, the Friday night?
I think it's Friday night.
I believe it's the Friday night. Yeah, it's the main stage. We open directly for Molly Hatchet on the big stage.
Are you doing 60 or 90 minutes?
It's 90 minutes.
You guys are going to get a tremendous amount of exposure.
That's what we're shooting for.
I'm hoping so. Yeah.
And we have had the pleasure to play OCC Roadhouse a couple times, and it's always a good time there, regardless.
Yeah.
So
I've never set foot in the place.
Really, you've never been there?
No.
Oh my gosh, amazing venue! Is it
like a Twisted
Fork?
It's
a lot like the Twisted
Where
Fork.
like they have a restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. It's same kind of concept.
Very similar vibe.
Yeah.
And is that famous guy from the Chopper guy?
Yeah. Paul Senior.
Tuffle.
Whatever. I'm not sure his last name.
Yeah, he's like a piece of this, or
that's where they get the OCC part of it from. Is I guess they brought him in.
Orange County Choppers. I didn't know that.
And he's like I said, I've never seen him. I don't get up there that often. I've never seen him there, but he's been known to pop in.
I'm surprised that you guys aren't regulars at the OCC, because I think that those people would love your stuff.
Yeah, we think the same thing.
I think I may have to. I may have to be your manager on the side and get you guys these bigger gigs.
Yes, I think we'll have to talk after cameras. We'll talk. Yes, yeah, Vic.
So I want to change things up a little bit, and I want to talk about what got you guys started individually when you were younger. So, Tyler, let's start with you, man. You're a kid. Tell me what you were listening to. Tell me what what your thoughts were about music back then.
I think when I was a kid, I wasn't really smart enough to have my own kind of grasp on music at that time. When you're 6 to 8 years old or whatever, you're kind of just listening to whatever's around. But my dad had the VH1 classics on the TV all the time, so like that was always kind of there. And it wasn't really until I started skateboarding that I started to develop my own kind of taste for music. And from there, I got into Metallica a lot, Iron Maiden, and then from there, kind of backtracked a little bit and got super into Motley Crue. And Skid Row was like the biggest one for me. I'm a ginormous Skid Row fan, and that's been one of my biggest influences of all time.
At what point did you realize that you could sing this stuff? Like,
that didn't happen until much later. I didn't even start. I mean, with Sunset Strip, I want to say I was 20 when I first decided that I wanted to sing in a band. So that's a little late in the game. But the whole reason that started was I would just go out with my coworkers, and we would go out to these karaoke nights, and we would just get drunk and do karaoke all the time. And one night I did 18 in Life, and I ended up winning a karaoke competition. I won $300. And from that point, that was what made me decide, okay, you know what? I want to try this. I want to sing in a band. And then from there, I put the ad out on Craigslist and met up with Johnny, and that's kind of how the ball started.
So you were blessed
rolling.
with a great voice, but you weren't like trained to sing, right?
No, not really. I used to just, when I was in college, I would just listen to that shit all the way up to school and just sing along to it. And it just got to a point where I was able to match the pitch, and it just didn't sound bad.
Did somebody come up to you and be like, "Hey, man, you're good"? Like this
at the karaoke nights, yes. At the karaoke nights, yeah. And I didn't break out into the music circuit for a really long time. And when I did initially, I had always gotten really good feedback, and that was kind of like what kept me going. I'm like, okay, like I'm not bad at this. I can pursue.
So tell me about your very first band. Like your real band that actually
the first band. Ooh, That would be, I was in this band called Contraband, which was a very, very short-lived project. I was already in Sunset Strip, and I met this kid who he was a guitar player, played a gold top Les Paul, all around Slash lover, and him and I kind of bonded over some common influences. So Skid Row and Guns N' Roses were like the two big ones. So that was our original band. We used to go to these open mic nights and we'd play a couple covers, and then we eventually started writing stuff. And that like just went down in flames super fast. We didn't even I don't even think we got to the point where we were booked like a legitimate gig other than the open mics. And it wasn't until after that that I started Midnight Vice. And that's my passion project that I still have now.
So tell me about Midnight Vice. It's all originals?
It is all originals. Yeah. Midnight Vice is it's relatively similar to this band, but it's more like new wave British heavy metal, classic heavy metal. It's like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motorhead. Those are kind of like the Merciful Fate, some of the big influences there, because I'm a heavy metal guy through and through. That's my bread and butter.
Where do you live, by the way?
I live in Sarasota. I live right off Fruitville on Honore.
So is this band a Sarasota band, or does it?
We're all kind of scattered, actually. Yeah. Sam, same guitar player in Sunset Strip. He's the guitar player in Midnight Vice.
Gotcha.
So that's how he ended up in this band, was just because we needed a guitar player.
Sure.
And I was like, you want to make some money, you know? And he's in St. Pete. Bass player, which is Lakota Stafford, and drummer is Dennis O'Sullivan. They're both in Bradenton, so they're relatively close by.
So Siesta Key Lee, friend of mine, is going to be on this show in about a month, I think.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
He was in your band.
He was.
Yep.
He was.
And then, so did Charles replace him?
I think Sam actually replaced him, and then we had another guy, which was Dave Tatro. He left not long after Lee, and then that was when we got Charles in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because there's been some turnover in the band.
Yeah.
But like we all talked about earlier, this is by far the best lineup, and I just love it. I love it to death.
Yeah, Lee's a great guitar player too, though. He's an awesome guy. Yeah, it was weird because both of our guitar players kind of left at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, that's how it goes.
The first time I saw you guys, didn't we do a benefit for somebody? Didn't somebody's house burn down or something?
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah. The country club with the Harbor Hidden. No, what's it called?
That was awesome. That
Heritage Harbor.
Heritage Harbor. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And we played Jacked Up. I think did 2 songs there, but I remember you guys. Man.
We played like 3 songs, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. We didn't play for a long time.
Timmy, my old drummer Timmy,
yes,
played drums with you.
He drums for us. Yep.
Yeah,
I remember that.
He filled in because I guess your drummer wasn't available.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, you've got a good memory.
Yeah, actually I almost forgot about that show. That was
it was early days.
That was my
early days for me.
But that was my introduction to you guys because you did an Aerosmith cover that day.
Yeah, we did Dream On.
Dude,
and then I got
killed
hammered after that. I was so drunk after that. I was hanging out with all the ladies and stuff. It was fun.
And what else is new, right?
Yeah, I know. Jeez.
So Ben, tell me about, you're a little kid now. What are you listening to? What was your first record that you owned and coveted? Like I knew a kid that used to bring his records to school. Yeah. And like, you had enough books to begin with, but he would then carry the records with his books and he would just and he put them down. And so like, we would all look at his records and I'm like, can I borrow this, man? Like Van Halen 1. That's how I got exposed to Van Halen 1. Cause I just said, I'm taking this home, and I didn't return it for like 6 months.
I don't know what happened to that.
Anyway, tell me about your experience growing up.
It's all Angus Young's fault.
So
AC/DC, Back in Black. I'm a young lad. Back in Black comes out. My Panasonic radio couldn't get turned up loud enough, man.
Did you have like the cassette, or like was it like
no.
We're talking CD? 8-track.
Yeah.
Wow.
Record. I had the record, the AC/DC.
When that first came out, it was the early 80s, right?
Yeah.
That to me, I mean, when someone talks to me about your all-time what the fuck moments, one of them for me was AC/DC Back in Black.
Same.
I didn't know what I couldn't believe
it started all this for me. It started it all for me.
Every track is amazing.
Just the opening riffs to some of those songs, man. I mean, still to this day, you turn those songs on and it makes the hair on my.
It's one of the greatest selling records of all time. It's up there with like Michael Jackson, Thriller. Yeah. I mean, I'm serious.
There's not a bad song on the record.
Right.
Not a bad song on the record.
So you heard that, and at that point, you had to get into a band, or were you already playing?
No. I was a kid. It got me into listening to music, listening to rock. that was, like you said, the early 80s. So of course, you've got Van Halen and bands like that going on. And then I go to my second record, I go to REO Speedwagon,
Interesting.
you know.
Which one?
So um the big hits, the
You
one
can
with
tune a piano, but you can't tune
yeah,
a
yep,
fish.
yep. So I tell
Roll
everybody,
with the changes.
roll with the
How
changes, man.
great is that song,
Yeah,
dude?
Kevin Cronin taught me how to sing. You know,
Cool.
taught me how to sing. Angus Young gave me the drive, that rock and roll drive. I don't know what it was about it, man, but it was something that just
Well, first of all, you have a good singing voice. Number two is it's very hard for bass players to sing, and I know this firsthand. Now, any point were you ever the lead singer of your band?
no, I'm not that guy.
Okay,
I'm not that guy. Put the bass.
but you could be.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm best having my bass in front of me, put the spotlight on him.
Just keep it
You
simple.
know what I mean? I'll stand next to him and look pretty.
I have enough problems playing the right notes to begin with. I don't need the extra stress of having to sing.
It's I mean, I know what he does. It's hard, man. It's hard. And kudos to the musicians that are out there that sing and play an instrument at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
You know what it is?
You
It's
know?
so much muscle memory. Like, for an example, there's certain songs that I've been singing now for years. And now, whether I'm drunk on stage or not,
Yeah.
or just distracted, my fingers just know where to go, dude.
Right,
It's like,
right,
I
yeah,
don't have to think
yeah.
about it.
There's songs that, I mean, I could sing, as long as the vocal pattern matches, the bass pattern, I could probably sing along to some of the stuff, but you get into changes and time signature changes and stuff like that. I could.
Now, do you guys constantly rehearse? Like, for an example, do you practice on your own, learn the material, then come together
Yeah,
and
sure.
maximize that time
Yeah,
together? So you're
yeah.
like, you're not fucking around. Just
Yeah.
like,
Right.
everyone has to know their parts.
Yeah.
At this
Oh,
point,
absolutely,
I mean,
yeah.
when it's all covers like this, I mean, the homework is there. You have a solid blueprint that you can look at. So there's really no point in going of all five of us going into the studio and just kind of dicking around trying to put it all together. Sometimes that happens just because it's like someone will just start playing a riff and be like, "Oh,
Right.
do you know that?" Or
Yeah.
whatever. That's one thing,
Yeah.
but
Well,
like we don't.
Charles is known for just playing stuff.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Like,
That's
oh my
super
God.
true.
Yeah.
We've added so much shit to our set list just because of that.
Right.
He'll just start
Charles
playing
noodling
something,
around.
and we all happen to know a good chunk of it, so we can kind of like almost put it together, and then we go home, refine it, and then bring it back in, and it's there.
And actually, to me, that's one of the best ways to come up with new songs, because if we can just messing around in the studio, play through a song and get the meat and potatoes of it, then a little bit of work and polish it up, and it's ready to go.
I think that you guys are such wonderful musicians that you could pull that off. You could easily do a show and do a song for the very first time if you've all practiced it at home. You can pull it off.
it's
Yeah, we get lucky with that sometimes.
It's been known to happen a couple times.
Approximately how many
Yeah.
songs would you say, as far as a cover band goes? How many songs do you guys have in your catalog?
So many. I mean, we've got just throughout the years, we've got stuff that's probably been sitting in the back burner for Lord knows how long. But
Right.
I mean, it's got to be. I mean, what's the average set? It's like got to be like 30 something songs, right? In a night.
15 and 15, maybe.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I would think. So I would say we've got to be in the 50s or 60s.
So is
just
it
with all-
possible if you did 2 shows back to back, you could play completely different songs each
Ooh,
time?
Possibly so. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would depend on how long the sets
Yeah.
are.
I mean, we would have to obviously rehearse for it and be ready for it.
Yeah,
Like
I think I mean, I know that we can confidently play 4 hours of material. I'll say.
Right,
Well,
that.
every
yeah.
band has their core and their
Yeah,
favorite songs, right?
yeah,
So like
yeah.
we know that we have this 80s dance block that we do no
Yeah.
matter what.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we'll always play
That's
that, you know.
that's mandatory. You got to
Yes.
have your
Yeah.
Poison. You got to have your
Yeah.
big Motley Crue, your Guns N'
Yeah.
Roses songs. I mean, there's some stuff that we play that we fucking hate, but we play it because we know that we're supposed
Tell
to.
me about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm doing
It's-
Donna Summer now, dude. But the girls are dancing.
That's it. And
Yeah.
that's what
Do you guys
matters,
ever do
man.
medleys or mashups that are like unusual that you created yourselves?
No, I wanted to. So we, for a hot minute there, we briefly learned a Whole Lot of Love and Still of the Night, and I
Cool.
wanted to mix those two.
Yeah, that would be
But
cool.
the problem is that Maiden Kane does it, and I'm like, we
yeah.
can't. It would be so
Right.
obvious if we did it because I got
Yeah.
to see Maiden Kane do it, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And
Maiden
I'm
Kane's
like,
great.
I wish
Would
we
you
could
say
do
that
but
they're
it's
like, I hate to say competition, but because we're all friends here, man, and there's a lot of money and opportunities for all of us. But would you say that Maiden Kane is like your like somebody who would be very similar to what you do?
I always thought they were above us.
Um,
I just feel like they're more established.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. They, to me, that's that's goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys have been around longer than us, obviously, and are more established and have a big following. Um, they're really doing things right. They're working very smart, very hard.
Have you guys ever seen a band called the Lost Boys?
Yeah, yeah, good friends of
Oh
ours.
my God,
Yeah,
they're so freaking
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Mike filled in on drums with us a couple times.
Uh-huh.
Fantastic drummer.
Yes, he is.
But that singer too, he can hit the high notes, man.
Yeah.
He can really belt them out.
Mhm.
But they're a quality band. See, the problem is that you guys are so good, you can never be back to back. Like if there was a festival, they'd have to separate you guys. Like we would be good to open up for you, or vice versa, because we're
Right.
different.
Yeah.
But like you couldn't
Yeah.
play with Maiden Kane. It was like you would be like two
Yeah.
titans clashing. So here's the deal: we're going to take a short break, and when we
Yep.
come back, I want to talk about your favorite concerts and some of the great bands that you've seen growing up.
Okay.
Cool.
Fantastic. Let's talk about drummers, right? Because
Yep.
as a bass player, I
Yeah.
really appreciate a good drummer.
Same.
It makes
Yep.
me a better player myself,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Who were some of your favorite rock drummers growing up?
Favorite rock drummers. I mean, I tend to like the blues based rock. So to me, I like the in the pocket, drummers that just, hit the drums like the drums owed them money. I mean,
How about John Bonham?
John Bonham, drummers like that just rock steady and just abuse the drums. You know what
Maybe
I
Keith
mean?
Moon?
Keith Moon as well. Tommy Lee, from Motley. I loved his playing. Um, just the aggressive drummers that tend to not overplay. You know what I
Now, but
mean?
see, here's the thing: Neil Peart is sometimes people think he's the best,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say he overplays, but I think he's not what you're talking about.
Right.
He's
Right.
kind of all over the
Yeah.
place in a good way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. For
But him and John Bonham are different,
absolutely.
but they're probably
Yeah.
ranked 1 and 2.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Tyler, who are some of your favorite drummers?
Man, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to drums, truthfully, but man, I saw a video playthrough of what's his name? Aussie's drummer Tommy Aldridge.
Aldridge, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I saw him do like a playthrough of Over the Mountain, and I'm like, wow, that is phenomenal. It was super cool.
I remember Ozzy's band, man, and the guitar player. What's his name again?
Which one?
The young guy.
Oh, Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on Randy Rhoads, man? Because when I listen to his stuff to this day, I say to myself, this guy is like an Eddie Van Halen. He's off the chart and he's his own man.
He was, yeah,
Yeah.
His
absolutely.
sound was unique.
Yeah.
Am I
He
right?
was, yeah, he was very. Ozzy always had amazing guitar players. Between him, Jakey Lee, and Zach Wild, I mean, that's a really fucking impressive, revolving door of musicians right there, just on its own.
And then what do you think of Tommy Iommi in the Black Sabbath? I mean, would you say that he was like a guy who
Well, obviously, I mean, he was one of the ones without bands like Black Sabbath and Ozzy, early Ozzy. I mean, there would be no Warrant
That's
and
what I'm
Dokken
saying.
and Twisted
That's what I'm
Sister. I
saying,
mean,
man.
they
Yeah.
they were the innovators for the music that we play.
I was gonna say,
Tony Iommi, yeah, he's not Yngwie Malmsteen, but I mean, I love his playing style. I'm again, it goes back to the blues based rock where my heart uh tends to be. So he was very feel oriented in his solos, and it wasn't about speed and flash,
but Hendrix inspired a lot of people.
yeah.
I think that obviously Eddie Van Halen did.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
then don't forget about Ace Frehley, because I always ask people this question that come on the show. What are your
Uh-huh.
thoughts of Kiss? And I get a lot of different answers. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on Kiss?
I fucking love Kiss. I love Kiss. I think they're amazing. Actually, I got to see them on their final tour. One of the best concerts I've ever seen. I think they're great. Even with the track thing where everybody's bitching about them using tracks, I didn't care. I loved it. Loved the entire thing. One of the best shows I've ever seen.
I like Kiss. I think being a businessman, I respect the hell out of Gene Simmons. Um, if they had any other bass player other than Gene, you wouldn't know who they were. He put them over the moon.
Were you buying Kiss records and collecting Kiss records?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely saw
some
Kiss
of
a
my
couple
friends hated Kiss
times.
growing up, and I got picked on because I liked Kiss.
Yeah.
I think Destroyer was one of the greatest albums I think I've ever heard.
Dude, a lot of people love shitting on Kiss, and I've never understood that. I just
they created, they took rock and roll to the next level. I mean, yeah, they were unique and different, right?
Mhm.
But I think their stage show is the best in the world.
They understood
I mean,
the
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
aspect of
Yeah,
of it,
but
yeah.
their lights and their fireworks, and I mean, they were doing stuff. They were pioneers, man.
Yes, absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Ace Frehley, I mean, I understand why he got kicked out of the band because of his issues, but
Mhm.
some of his early stuff, man, it was just raw, man. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that the big thing with Kiss, I think, is the ideology of theatrics, the way that they introduced that to live music. Because I don't think that there was really a lot of that going on
Not
at
at
that
all.
time in the mid to late
Now, there were
70s
guys
like
wearing
that.
makeup. There
Yeah,
were
that's
bands-
one thing.
yeah.
That's like, but the way that they did it, it was like, that's you go see Kiss to, fucking see Gene spit blood and shit like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's just like, and then that inspired a lot of other bands to do the same thing. I think like Wasp is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
That is that so much of that came from Kiss. Whether Blackie cares to admit that or not, I don't.
So it's
Right.
safe to say that Kiss is one of the greatest bands, American bands, because A, they sold a lot of records.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
B, they were around for a long, long time. And C, they inspired all these other acts.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
the ideology of what makes a legend is kind of tied between you're either innovating or you've perfected a skill. You know what I mean? So that, and like we were saying, like with Tony Iommi, that's the difference between Tony Iommi and Yngwie Malmsteen. You know what I mean? Tony was innovating, and Yngwie is just perfecting the craft.
Right.
So
Now,
that goes either which way. So I don't necessarily care for people that kind of bitch about bands not necessarily being super talented, because Kiss, we're not all stupid here. We all know Kiss is a relatively simple band, but they had a different mindset and they innovated so much, and that's what makes them legendary, and that's what makes them one of the hottest fucking bands in the world.
Absolutely.
my favorite band growing up was Van Halen.
Van Halen's same thing,
Yeah.
dude. I'm a David Lee Roth guy all the way. I don't even care if Sammy Hagar's the better singer.
Would you say that he is your favorite past or present frontman?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Fuck no. Absolutely
How would you rank
not.
him?
I think he like skill wise pretty low on the totem pole. That's for
Well,
sure.
we all know his voice
I
isn't
mean,
that good, right? David Lee
Right.
Roth's voice.
Yeah. But that energy that he provided as a frontman, that's why he gets the gold star.
I mean, the way he dressed, the way he looked, the way
yeah,
moved
he was
around,
flamboyant. He
the
was
kicks,
power.
the swords.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just
Yeah.
it was mind blowing.
Yeah, I think he took the over the topness like Kiss had and applied it to the sex appeal of music that I don't think bands were doing at the time. You know what I mean? He knew
Yeah.
he was a young, good-looking guy,
Right.
and he used it to his advantage.
He took that California kind of look.
Absolutely,
and
that
feel.
California kid,
Yeah.
and look where it took him.
So I'm going to name a couple bands, and you guys tell me what you think, okay? Because these are bands that are different maybe than other ones. Like, tell me what you think of Queen.
Queen,
Love Queen.
absolutely, yeah.
I'm not super educated on their discography, but the stuff that I do know, I love.
Did you see the movie?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
It was great, right?
It was great.
Yeah.
Freddie
Phenomenal.
Mercury was a genius.
Yes,
Yeah.
You know, and he had the voice that was like probably the greatest in the world that he could do what he did.
yes,
Yeah.
The next band, Journey.
phenomenal band.
Stephen Perry, are you like fan? Are you this guy Darnell? You know, Parnell, whatever his name is. You're cool with him taking over?
Yeah. I mean, Steve Perry, I like Steve Perry. I like the tone of his voice. To me, he's just got the sweetest, it's just a sweet voice when he sings. You know what I mean? It's just so pretty.
Led Zeppelin.
I can take him or leave him. I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I respect him. I respect the hell out of him. And Robert Plant's obviously phenomenal. But yeah, well, they're kind of just in the middle there for me.
I was again, like Tyler. I probably wasn't a huge Zeppelin fan. I respect the shit out of them for what they did a little before my time, so I didn't have a whole lot of exposure to them other than than what I had heard on the radio. So
one of the greatest American rock and roll bands after Kiss, in my opinion, is Aerosmith.
yes,
I love
yeah,
Aerosmith.
love
And their
Aerosmith.
catalog is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they had an amazing comeback. Do you remember how they kind of like went away and then they
Yep.
came back with that one album?
Are you talking about in the 80s when, like the late 80s when they got sober?
Yeah.
Pump.
Done with
Pump.
Yeah.
But then they followed up with
That
another
is-
one. There were two of them back to back.
Oh, I think that Pump record where they're all sober.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Aerosmith record, and I get a lot of shit for that. A lot of shit.
You know what's funny? So he had to stop singing, and and like Bon Jovi now is having issues. I mean, I think we have to realize that these people are not superheroes, and that just like us, they're going to get older, and they're not going to have what Bon Jovi says is his toolbox, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to have this, so it's okay. He tried to come back. Did you see the documentary on him?
Yeah,
He
I
tried
did.
really hard to come back, you know,
Yeah.
and he certainly has the money to get the best doctors in the world and have
Right.
the surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay to retire, man. Don't you think? I mean, don't you hate seeing like Vince Neil?
That's
and
just
some of
I
these
do.
guys going out there
I
and they're
do.
like, "What are you doing, man?"
I do.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I saw that, like, Steven Tyler, that he had to retire, right before this big final tour, I mean, I just kind of like, as a singer, like putting myself in his shoes, like that has got to be like heartbreaking. Like this, your whole claim to fame, this thing that you've done your entire life that you love, and all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. So I mean, I get why people are, milking
But
it
how
for
old
what
is
they
he?
can.
Though? Is he 75?
He's up there. I don't know how old
And
he
you
is
think
off
he's
the
a
top of my head,
multimillionaire?
but yeah,
So
for
at
sure.
some point, don't you think he meets
Yeah.
with his family
But I
and
mean,
says,
it's
like,
like-
"I'm gonna have to retire someday"? Like,
Right.
I mean,
you can only have so much money. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I mean, these bands.
I think
like,
it gets to a point where it's not necessarily about money, because it's like that's your second nature, doing music, just the art of creating music and performing and stuff like that. Like that's when you've had that your entire life and then all of a sudden you don't have it anymore, you don't really know what to do
I
with
understand.
yourself.
I
I
see
can't
what you're
even
saying.
imagine if I woke up one day and like my voice was gone, or like,
Right.
and it would be the same thing for you guys if you guys woke up and one of your fucking hands was limp,
Right.
yeah.
like that's devastating.
Sure.
Yes.
So I understand, and I agree. Like people like Vince Neil, I'm like, throw the towel in, but also at the same time, like I can understand why he's still doing
Well,
it,
I'm glad I mentioned Motley Crue because you talked earlier about tapes and pre-recorded stuff. What are your thoughts about going to see a show, especially like, and we could say Motley Crue is using stuff.
Mhm.
They may deny it, right? But they're
Right.
using tracks.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like you're paying money to go see a band and then you hear tracks.
There seems to be a very fine line on what's acceptable with that and what's not. I mean, vocal tracks. I know like there's some people that use vocal tracks to hit the harmonies and stuff. I'm not really for any of it. If it's not being made on stage, I'm not really backing it, to be honest.
As a musician, we as a band, everything that you hear coming up our stage is organic. It's coming from us. I mean, the guitars have processors for different tones and whatnot, but there's no guy over behind the curtain, pulling buttons and whatnot. Everything that we do is real. And I think the bands have gotten away from the soul and the real reason why they're actually there to play music for the aspect of the show. You know what I mean? The show has become bigger than the music, in my opinion.
There's so much money at stake now, and there's
Yeah.
corporations
Yeah.
involved. And I think they
Yeah.
tell Motley Crue, listen, I know you broke up and did a blood oath, which by the way, I bought into that and I went and saw that show in Atlanta, the final show, the final
final
show.
Only for them to come back and break their blood oath and do
Yeah.
it because the book came
Well,
out.
they
and it
put
was
the
successful.
movie. They put that movie out, and they're like, "Oh man, we're sitting on a
It's
fucking
time to
cash
get
cow
paid,
right now."
yes.
Yeah,
But I think that there's two schools of people. There's the people that will still go
Mhm.
because it's Motley Crue
Yeah.
Yes.
and they want to live that. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's those, like some of my friends are like, there's no way in hell you could drag me to go to these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my parents took me to see that same final. What was that 2013 or 2014 or something like that? Yeah,
yeah.
I got to go to
Alice
that.
Cooper opened up for them.
Yep.
How great is Alice Cooper?
Dude, Alice Cooper is
Yeah.
amazing. I've
Yes.
seen him twice.
Still.
And every time,
couldn't believe how
every
good he
time
was.
he knocks it out of the water.
That's like one of the most underrated performers because
I
nobody talks about
agree.
Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of
Right.
hits, man. He's got
Same
more hits
thing,
than
and
I
it's
thought.
and that goes right back to the theatrics, the Kiss
Yeah.
theatrics.
Yeah.
Same thing. He puts
Yeah.
on an
Yeah,
excellent
but
live
his
show.
theatrics are real because they're probably not big budgeted, like
Yeah.
the guillotine thing and the $1 billion babies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and he always has
Yeah.
he always has the best guitar player and like the best bass player. Like he hires the guns, like
Yeah.
to come out like Nita
Strauss. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that was who was both times that I saw him. I think she was playing for him.
Alice Cooper is fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, I digress. So I saw that Motley Crue show, and after I saw it that one time, I was like, I don't really need to see it again. So when I found out they were going back out on tour, I was like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, a concert that I just saw recently, I saw Cheap Trick with Journey and Def Leppard
Yeah.
in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl.
Mhm.
And as a guy who plays music and does sound, I couldn't believe how good the sound system was there. I was with Dana from the Braden Tucky Death Race. Her and I are sitting next to each other, and we're like, "Is this live? We can't believe how good it sounded." And those boys sing. Those Def Leppard guys, man, they're all singing.
Dude,
their
yeah.
asses off.
Are they using tracks or?
We don't believe so.
Oh my god!
Wow.
I just like. We've tried to do other Def Leppard songs before, and it is like there is so many layers
You're
in
right,
those
right.
songs, and
You're
it's
right.
like you almost when you try to emulate that and perform it, you almost feel like an asshole. Like it just doesn't sound right. It sounds empty. Like
Yes.
you're like pretty much questioning your entire skill set. You know?
Well, it's basically the same lineup for the last 30 or 40 years. So
Yeah.
they've been doing it for so long that they could do it with their eyes
And
closed.
like those harmonies are super, underappreciated, I think.
I agree.
It's insane.
And they have a lot of hits too, man.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Journey did a great job, and Parnell, am I saying his name right, or is it Darnell Parnell, the singer?
I don't know.
He played the role of Steve Perry brilliantly. He was fantastic. I couldn't believe how good Journey sounded, and they just played one hit after another after
Right.
another.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I was thoroughly impressed. And Cheap Trick is always going to be a good, quality band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, doesn't he live? The lead singer of Cheap Trick lives in the Tampa area.
I've heard that he's got
Yeah.
Florida ties. Yeah.
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 What other bands, man, are you guys high on? I always talk about Heart. I talk about Pat Benatar, and I talk about Joan Jett because I have a female singer, and we still do rock and roll in my band. So
Yeah.
we cover some Joan Jett.
Yep.
And we cover some Pat Benatar, and I'm trying to get her to do some Heart, which is not easy.
Yeah.
But we're getting ready to do that song Alone.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a great one. And I think that Joan Jett, to me, was a pioneer, right? Because Pat Benatar may have taken the mantle and ran with it because of the MTV years,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I think Joan Jett was the first woman who girls could look up to and say, "Hey, man, I want to get a guitar." Because back then, chicks weren't playing guitars.
Yeah.
Well, she started with what? Lita Ford?
The Runaways.
Runaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when she became a soloist, she had great representation, great management. She had some really good hits.
Oh
that came
yeah,
out.
she
But then when Pat Benatar, though, because we saw her recently with her husband at the Van Wezel, she came to tour like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
They hit it out of the park because they did all the videos, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And so MTV made her really popular. So girls were
Yeah.
dressing like her.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah. Everybody, all the girls cut their hair off.
What do you guys think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame having rap and having other types of music in there other than rock?
Man, that's been a crock of shit for years. I get pissed off every time I see the inductees and shit. It's not even, they just need to call it something else at this
Right.
point.
I agree.
mean, it should just be like a music hall of fame at this point. It's just
Somebody was thinking about putting together a Hard Rock Hall of Fame and having a separate museum and a separate institution for real hard rock and roll and break away from the from the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
Rock and Roll
I mean,
Hall of Fame.
it's even more invigorating when you look at all the bands that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall
Yeah.
of
Well,
Fame.
Kiss didn't get in there for a long time,
Yeah,
and then they didn't want to go. They're like, "Screw it, we don't want to
I
go."
don't
But then
think-
they got talked into doing it.
I don't think Iron Maiden is in it right now. I could be wrong. I thought I saw something about them saying that they didn't even want to be in it or something like
I'm
that.
glad you mentioned them.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, because their ticket sales. Do you realize how big they are in South America and Europe?
Oh, huge.
Oh,
They
yeah.
sell out 100,000 seat soccer stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, here in the U.S., I don't know what if they even tour here. But when you see videos of them playing South America, it's just insane.
I got
Yeah.
to see him years ago.
Had to have been back in 2018, I think.
I saw him over in Boca Raton at that BB&T Center. Dude, so sick. You want to talk about theatrics, man? They got him. Yeah,
So they played an arena.
Yeah.
How did that sound? That must
dude,
be
it was great. It was awesome. I was we had general admission too. Like I was on the floor and it was just phenomenal. Bruce still sounds great, I mean, and he's getting up there too. He's an old guy.
Isn't it hysterical how he flies his own plane?
Yeah,
It
dude,
is.
this dude.
It's a giant plane.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's a massive plane, and they got the logo on it.
Yep. Makes his own beer. That dude just gets to do whatever he wants.
You got to learn to fly.
So-
Tyler's gonna start
That's-
flying us to gigs.
Yeah, you're gonna end up like Randy Rhodes.
Sad. in Germany, there's a guy that did a rock and roll or a heavy metal documentary about the history of heavy metal, and he talks about the dark metal and all these different types of it. And in Germany, there's one particular country where they actually go gaga, they go ape shit over American thrash and hard.
Yes, Germany, Europe has always had a much larger appreciation for heavy metal than the United States has. If you so Midnight Vice, the genre that this band falls under is called the new wave of traditional heavy metal, and there's a bunch of other bands that do the same thing we do. It's a bunch of young guys playing classic 80s style heavy metal, and in Germany, that shit just does so well over there. They do festivals for stuff like that. We even have one that we do here in the United States called Hell's Heroes. It's the same thing. All of those 80s like heavy thrash metal, all that heavy stuff they do a big festival for that. And other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all we have here. But in Germany, dude, you could throw a rock and hit a fucking, heavy metal musician or a metalhead. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the fans are mostly young men who just seem to be angry and pissed off.
Yes.
And
man.
That's the typical metal fan.
Yeah, man.
Tell them to go out and just kill somebody.
The heavy metal scene over there is great.
In fact, you mentioned our friends Lost Boys, Mark Borgmeyer.
Amazing guitar player.
Yeah. Is the new guitar player in Crimson Glory, and I believe they are in Germany.
They are playing Keep It True in Germany. That's a huge heavy metal fest in Germany
this week, I believe.
Yeah.
So good timing. He must have been.
So are the Lost Boys probably on hiatus right now, right?
I imagine, yeah. He's
I don't
playing
know
a big
Was
stage.
was it you guys or was it Lost Boys that played Dean's and blew up the electric
That was
system
us.
blew up or some shit?
That was us.
Yeah. I try
What
to
happened with
forget
that?
about that.
Oh my
night.
god. Yeah, that was fun.
No, but was it like their circuitry was bad or something? Like what happened? Was it
Well, we
lightning
were
strike or
there
some
was
shit?
severe. There was like a severe weather warning, I think,
Because they're
and,
known for having problems with their electricity, aren't they?
I've heard that. Yeah, it was. We're busy doing our load in. The sound man's busy setting up his equipment. We're used to, like you're used to sound check at around a certain time. So he's not ready for sound check. You start inquiring, you get it's getting a little late, and you get the 10 minutes to showtime. We still haven't done a sound check. Like I got the blue light.
Now, was this a regular sound man or some new guy for the first time?
This was actually Sam's dad. He did sound for us, and this was by no means his fault.
But he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah,
he just needed more time.
It was not.
No.
It was just a matter of circumstance. Honestly,
like he didn't know that his board got fried from the lightning strike, and he was just trying to make it work, trying to get it to work, and there was nothing he could do to get it to work.
Yeah, because he did run sound for us prior, like a gig or two before that, and he did a phenomenal job. The sound was great.
So did you guys just go acoustic at that point and just?
We did for a couple songs. Yeah, we did that, and then we ran out of acoustic shit to sing, and then it just I don't know. It was awkward. It was just such a. That was by far one of the worst gigs of my entire life. Actually,
it was very. Stressful.
It's funny, guys. Look, we've all go through it.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's embarrassing.
You got all those
family and friends in the audience.
You got all those old fucks in the crowd just throwing shit at you and yelling. And I mean, dude.
The only thing that makes up for that is when you have a stellar gig.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes.
Two.
Well, I think the worst part was that we ended up getting somewhere. We ended up getting a system to work. And we got to play it for like 30 minutes and everybody was all hyped. And then it went right out again. And it was just like.
You know what we do? We have a little backup system. It's just a small little PA, so not everybody can go through it. So we would just do the guitar.
You just have like the vocals go through it, and
the guitar, and then everybody else is on their own,
Yeah.
And then I always have a cabinet, and I have an amp. So if I have to go cabinet amp, I can do that.
Yeah.
But we love to go through front of the house. The other night we all were inners, and we had no cabinets on stage. You guys can never do this because of your music you play, but we could do it, and we did it, and it sounded fantastic because it was a pure stereo mix-up. But what happened was my shit went out. And I was freaking out. So at the end of the first set, I had to go back and get a monitor. And then I had to go old school. Because it's only as good as, your inners will allow it to be.
Yeah.
There was another gig we played down there where we had no monitors at all. And we just, we were getting to the point where it was like, time was ticking. And we were just like, fuck it. We're just going to run this we ran a whole set, no monitors.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was unfortunate because it was a big gig on a big stage. a big sound company. It was a benefit, and a lot of the bands that day had sound issues, which was
Yeah. I
unfortunate.
don't think anybody got a monitor that day.
So what do you guys do in that case? I mean, you just scream your ass off, so sing as loud as you
I
can.
mean, you just
Try
kind
to
of
hope that you can hear yourself out of the front of the house.
Yeah. You kind of lean forward and try to catch some of that. It's it's like I said. I mean, I'm usually right next to Tyler. I can hear Tyler. Um, sometimes it's Sam plays through a processor. He doesn't have an amp, so he depends on the monitor system.
I know.
So without that monitor system, there's no Sam.
So when you guys did the big top, who did your sound?
This past gig, that was Earl.
Earl from Sugar High.
Sugar High.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's funny how we all know each other, man. Everybody's played in every other band. Like we've had guys filling for us and vice versa.
Everybody knows everybody. Earl was also a bass player in Sunset Strip for a while.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
Because him and Johnny are boys from Sugar High.
Yeah, actually, Earl was the first bass player in Sunset Strip. That was the initial lineup. I think it was Johnny, Earl, and then we had a couple other guys.
You know, it's going to be great for a trivia night. It's like name all the members of Sunset Strip, and whoever can get them all gets like a prize.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll have to try that one.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, like in our final minute here,
Yep.
Before you guys leave, tell me what you love the most about Sunset Strip and what's going on right now. In a couple words, like how do you feel about your band?
I'm just super excited, man. Just super excited about the trajectory we're on. Super excited.
And you should be, because I never heard
Thank
you guys
you.
sound better.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people that go, like when I was there the last time, people like are coming into this area because they're, the bar's inside. So they come out with their drink and now they're standing outside in front of the stage. People were like, look at you like, holy fuck. Like people were like, wow. Because I think you play it so well. You play the song so well. I think people listening to this podcast that haven't seen these guys, you got to check them out, man. When is your next show?
Next show
this Friday.
Okay, unfortunately, this will come out after that show.
Okay.
So what do you have after that?
I think it's TT's, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe we're at TT's down in
TT's
Port
is
Charlotte.
a great spot.
Pun-
A lot of fun at TT's.
Port Charlotte or Punta Gorda?
That sunset, man. If you get there on a good night with good weather and you're playing,
it's beautiful.
And they got you on the little tiki thing, and you see the sun come down over the harbor. Oh man,
Yeah, man, it's cool.
Yeah, and luckily it should be, a nice evening. We'll be in October and it won't be so hot, and it'll be a good night.
October's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's October 12th, I think.
I believe. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, listen, guys, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy that you
man.
were here.
Thank
Thanks
you for
for
having
having
us.
I'm gonna come see you guys the first chance I get.
Sounds good.
All right. So thanks again, and have a great summer and great fall too.